Hi, welcome to Fiberchats. My name is Irina. I'm the host here, and my guests today are these twin beauties, Andrea
Thank you.
and Sami. Hi, guys.
Hi,
Hi.
thanks for having us.
Well, I mean, it's hard for me to tell you apart at times, but like you do completely different things. Tell me about the Woolen Women Fibers, how it started, and what role you play, each one of you plays in it.
Okay. Sammy, since you kind of started the whole thing, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. I've been knitting since I was about 8 years old. And it used to be a Thursday club with my best friend's grandmother. And she has Alzheimer's now, and she does struggle with that. But the one thing she remembers is us and knitting. So I carried that on much, much later in life because I was the only knitter up until I don't know, what was it? Mommy was diagnosed and had her surgery in 2010 or
Around then, I was in college, so we had to be around 2022.
yeah. So for about when my mom got diagnosed with trigeminal neuralgia, she got a brain surgery to correct this issue. She still suffers with it today, but I had given her a blanket and I knit half of it. And I told her, I said, I want you to knit the other half of it. You know, learn how to do something that brings you joy, is a bit therapeutic through her process. So I had given knitting to her, and she really skyrocketed with it. Socks, sweaters, you name it. She actually surpassed the things that I was able to do. And then Andrea, you can go ahead and pick up where I left off that because now you're going to come from college being a doctor and having graduated the highest that you can as a molecular biologist. And that is what you are, right? I always
Yeah,
get it wrong.
I did molecular work. I didn't start knitting until I was about in my third year in my PhD. There just isn't any time. And around the second year, you get really heavy into many different lab projects. You run different projects at the same time with a heavy course load. So my third year, I finally sort of adjusted to that. And I said, I'm going to like do something for myself because it was quite a few years of just working really, really hard. So I picked up knitting and my first project was socks. And my mom helped me get through that. And one sock fit, the other did not. But Sammy and my mom had already started a little shop. They went on Etsy, and through their knitting and what they did, my sister was like, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm doing homeschooling. It's what I want to do full time. Both of them started making project bags for knitting. My mom, mostly because she now had this brand new lifestyle where she had idle hands and she wanted to knit, but didn't have so much of the income to buy all the beautiful bags and all the things that come with it. So Samantha and her started making them, and that's how the beginnings of the business sort of came about. And Samantha slowly found out that she put these amazing zipper pulls on her bags, and nobody wanted the bags, they wanted the zipper pulls.
And this was because in the beginning, I was not selling online. I was actually doing fairs and we were lugging all the stuff there. My husband was setting it all up. It would take hours and it was a struggle. We're in Florida. So when we did these, it would downpour and rain on all of the hand makes that you
Every
had.
time.
They went flying down the gutter. It was it was a whole experience, but nobody wanted the bag. It started with a little Harry Potter charm,
So
and
tell
the
them
lady
what
was
you
like,
do.
I have to have it. So I'm a polymer clay artist. I make miniature progress keepers and stitch markers by hand. I would say that we've made 40,000. We're probably closer to 50,000 now that we've made to date in the last 3 years. So it's going, it's moving, and it keeps me here at home. I get to homeschool my boy full time, so we really enjoy that. And this has kept me at home doing that and being able to supplement my husband's income and help the household. It's been very empowering.
So she owns Sam's Tiny Trinkets Etsy shop. But after I found knitting around that third year, which would have been around graduated in 2020, it would have been around 2017 or 18.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I got into the knitting, but I wasn't involved in the business until I graduated in 2020 and the pandemic hit. So I was heavy in molecular science, but my focus was genetics, so fertility genetics. So in men, like if you take a certain medication, how does it affect, well, what's a polite way to put this? Anything that has to do with fertility and having babies and your ability to have babies. And so my job was to find out if you had special markers in your DNA that might produce an adverse effect if you take a certain medication. So if they were linked. You can imagine that when the pandemic hit, they did not want anything to do with any of that. They wanted virologists. And so it became it's always hard for a PhD in the first 2 or 3 years to find a job. It takes on average 2 to 5 years to really settle down. And by year, like we had just almost hit year 2, and I was just burnt out. I was questioning, is this even really making me happy? I know I finished the PhD. I'm a doctor. I'm excited, but I wasn't really finding the same fulfillment in it. So when I couldn't find a job, I was like, okay, the big man's telling me I got to go a different way. So I joined in with the girls and I created Woolen Women Fibers. And so the girls came on and they joined me. Samantha was my full-time polymer clay artist, and my mom joined me and she made all the project bags. Now she's on a little hiatus now, but so I've taken over bags as well. But I am currently the full-time project bag maker, and all of the I dye all of the yarn, all the beautiful colors that you see.
Let me ask you this. I mean, I understand molecular biology and all, but there's a big difference between just being a knitter and actually dyeing yarn. How was that process?
So I did dabble in it since my mom was really into knitting. I found the process kind of really amazing because it's so like science. Like even in science, there's like chemical indicators and you're looking for color in some things. But to me, dyeing yarn seemed so to fit like both things that I loved. So creativity and then the science aspect of it. So my mom gave me this little starter kit around that time when I started knitting. And we dyed up like our first little skeins of yarn just for fun. And so when I ended up at this crossroad, I was like, well, I really love the knitting and this is what the girls are doing. They have a business. Like, what can I contribute that's going to go with what they've already built, and we can all three build upon something?
What was our first kit?
Our first kit was the Blackbird
Float?
Song.
No, it wasn't
Blackbird Song and Rainbow Mountain. You did a little sheep.
That's right. The llama was the first one.
Yeah. So
okay.
So yeah, we just really wanted to work together. And I just really think that it meshes the dye studio with the laboratory. Even now that we've grown 3 years later, I have like a serious little color laboratory downstairs. We renovated the whole garage. And since I've moved from dye studio to dye studio, but each time, thankfully, we've grown and I've needed more space. But yeah, my interest just comes from that it's so like science. So you are using a chemical, even though it's not a harsh chemical. Citric acids are all part of science, and it is a reaction. It's all binding. So that's binding to the wool. The wool is taking up the color through that acid, and the whole thing with heat, it really does remind me of like a laboratory. So for me, it was a really wonderful process. And I find that I find the painting really wonderful. And I got to say, I was never really a painter in my life. I never painted or anything, but I love this kind of painting. So it is interesting, but we really wanted to do it together, and it's something that interested me. So I dove in head first, and it ended up being my full-time thing.
I mean, do you ever regret going into that full-time? Do you ever regret not pursuing your scientific career?
So I don't think so. And I know that's like ironic, and it would be weird if people thought I didn't, but I truly don't. Like a lot of times, if I like weigh the pros and cons, like let's say every business has good months and bad months. Even during the bad months, I think about how much of a privilege it is to be able to work from home. Someday I'm going to want babies like Sami has. I'm going to want to homeschool. And I just really put my all into this just as much as I did a PhD and becoming a doctor. And I find that it's just so much more fulfilling to be home with my family. And because when you become that big person, you really lose a lot of yourself. You lose a lot of your family. You have to
Yeah,
really
they want you to
around.
travel. They want you to travel for jobs.
Yeah.
I stopped at my bachelor's degree in psychology, and I wanted to go no further because of those issues. It
Yeah,
being
you
just
really
so
have to be
hard to
flexible.
find something in your field. So I literally was like, well, I'm gonna have a baby because I was done there, and I was proud of you for going all the way. You can say now
Yeah.
today that you did
I
something
can't
like
say
that,
I
and
wouldn't have
it's
regretted
amazing.
it if I hadn't finished. I'm very goal-oriented person, and I had to finish the doctorate, but I think around year 3, I finished it in 4 and skipped my master's. I think had I had to do the master's too, I don't know. I ended
Yeah.
up skipping the master's, so I went right from my bachelor's to my PhD. So it wasn't as long of a duration as normal as it normally is. It's about 8 for most people, but I just wasn't, my heart wasn't in it by the end of it, and I really love being creative, and my family is like my number one. Like, we are all attached to the hip. When I'm not on Zoom with you, Irina, I'm on Zoom with Samantha.
Well, let's talk about it because you're in different states, right?
Yes.
Yes, yes. I'm in
So,
Florida and she's in Pennsylvania.
well,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the kids, and you guys, if you haven't looked at their store, like after we're done here, please go and check it out because you're gonna love it. So I'm looking at the kids, and it seems very like coordinated and very thought through. So explain me that process. How do you decide who is doing what and what exactly are you doing and how it,
I mean,
yeah.
I laugh because I want to say twin power. I want to say
Yeah.
something like that because oftentimes we're like, okay, we're going to do this. And we go off of maybe inspiration or really, I have this giant piece of paper. I don't know where it is right now, but I have a giant piece of paper of all the things that, like, because we're on every day, that we're just like, oh, okay. And we're writing this down and we're like, we're going to do this like in
Yeah.
summer.
So I'd
You know,
like
we're
to
thinking
say
of all
most
these
of it's
ideas.
coordinated, but it really isn't. It's pure creativity. So Samantha will blurt something out, hey, this is a really good idea. We should do this. And then we normally do that twin thing where, like, I'm like, that's a great idea. What about this? And then we usually build on it. Most of it's happening just during normal conversations. And I'm like, jot that down. We can't forget. And so it's funny because when we try to coordinate the actual colors, we do seem to think a lot alike. So if it doesn't already come off of like a fabric or something that we have in common, we normally think really similar in color and stuff. So sometimes I don't even see her charms and she doesn't see my yarn until they come together. And we think that that's the fun part about it, is having it come together and hoping that it fits, because
You'll
we're
be
in
on
two different
on a
states.
Wednesday, like, oh, here's the yarn, and I'll be like, oh my gosh, that yarn is so gorgeous, and I'm just seeing it
Yeah, you'll
because
catch us on lives doing that, where
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
oh, that's great. I'm just seeing this. It's funny. So we like it that way. We like the spontaneity and we like the sort of like spur of the moment. Because if you plan too much of creativity, you lose the passion in it. You
yeah.
know what I
And
mean?
what happens when we don't hit it on the head? Here we go.
Oh,
This doesn't
we
happen
just
often.
we just
We
swing in a different
go with it.
direction.
Yes, it's all
I,
about going with it. So we had a mustard color, and Andrea was like, I'm not feeling this mustard color.
it
Like,
was
I don't even
awful.
know. We turned it into, I was like, I'm going to make a corset leopard charm.
Leopard.
So
So
it
I
was for
speckled it and
Valentine's Day.
overdyed it with black, and it was a Valentine's Day advent, and it was a leopard corset, and it was the most sold. Everybody wanted it. They thought it was so cute. And it was all because of just like a mistake. And I think
Happy
that's what's so
accidents.
great about it.
Yep, happy accidents.
Well, when you think about chemistry, right, it's all very precise. How precise are you with dyeing? Like, can you repeat the same color again and again?
Yes. So because I'm very detail oriented. And I'll tell you, moods have so much to do with creativity. So if I'm really stressed and something doesn't come out right, it goes in the one of a kind pile. I will not send something out if it's just not right. If it has to really look like the photo. And so I've gotten really, really good. I feel like right off the bat, I was pretty good at replicating because we measure out all of our powders. Every milliliter is measured out, anything that goes into each 100-gram skein. And I have 3 huge stacks of books that write everything down. And they look just like my scientific notebooks for like things are scratched out and it looks awful, but it really helps with replication. So yeah, Sami hits it on the head every time too. Hers are, we even do skin tones now. So you've had to get really, really precise with characters.
Yeah, so and some of them are hand mixed colors because we make custom colors. I oftentimes let me show you here.
Are you gonna see your messy desk?
We have the mega pile over here. We always have like a pile, but within those colors, I make like custom colors by mixing. And yeah, you have to be really precise. A lot of the times I'll be doing a wholesale for larger companies like Knit Crate and stuff. I used to do charms for them and send them batches of what could be thousands, hundreds or thousands, and we assembly line the process. So, you know, everybody gets a head, then everybody gets their hair, and the hair and everything is just one little coil at a time. But we got good at mixing colors and becoming quite precise because you have to repeat the process. Everything we make is made to order. So like when you're ordering something, know that it was made special, like just for you.
For you.
Because, yeah, because it's not off a shelf. It's like we're doing it. We're making it.
Well,
And
you're mentioning the numbers of like 40,000, 50,000. And I mean, it all sounds like reasonable, I guess, but it's 40,000 or 50,000 individually made little things.
Yes.
Describe me your day. I mean, you have your husband, you have your kids, homeschooling.
Yes. Yes, we've got lots going on. I actually have paired my workstation, which would be my giant desk over here. And we have our classroom, which is right next to it. And my day is, you know, doing our teaching, usually a couple of hours in the morning. And then my breaks are molding. They're molding charms, lots. I usually work some in the afternoon, and then I'll take after because I do dinner and then I clean that up and all of that stuff. And we're finishing up homework right as dinner's coming. And then there's going to be the 10 o'clock till 3 in the morning sometimes where I am crunching out even more. And then we get up at 8:30 and we just do it again. We do it again.
You just never stops moving.
Yes. You never stop moving and you just keep going. But this was a blessing. It is a blessing to be able to work this hard. My husband lost his job when COVID came about. It was what had us all moving back to the central hub, which was my mom's. Andrea was there. I was there. It was just a whole house.
We did
of people.
one very cramped here, but it was fun.
It was fun because honestly, this is where Woolen Women Fibers was born. It was born out of tired eyes because we eat, sleep, and we breathe it. We really do. And we love that. We love that. Well, so this gave me a chance.
When I'm thinking about any kind of fiber artist, right? Or in your case, like even making markers, but it's still part. I mean, I still consider you being a fiber artist because you do knit. And
oh yeah, we call it fiber arts jewelry. Right. I've been like coining the term.
But there is a moment when you like come up with new idea, right? It's sort of like new cast on. It's super exciting. You have this vision of how it's gonna look like. It's fun. And then there is something that like you have to repeat 1,000 times. Do you ever get burned out, tired, and just not want to do it anymore?
Oh, absolutely. I think everybody with a home business has somewhere along the lines cried, has somewhere along the lines been like, wow, this is overwhelming. But again, that's what I try to remind myself is that it is a blessing to be able to put food on my table in a way that is creative because, you know, my reality outside of that would be harsh as well. Might as well be creative, you know, might as well do what we love. But absolutely anything that you have can become overwhelming and can become that job, you know. So when everybody pictures, it smiles all the time. And of course it is. We absolutely love this. It also can be stressful running the business and being seen all the time.
And learning how to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
We're not business people. So to the fact that we've even grown this far after 3 years, we've really had to put on our thinking caps and try to learn as we go on the business side of things. Because remember, you don't just dye yarn and then people buy it. There's marketing, there's building a website, There's trying to get on social media and get all the people to talk to you and see your product. And it's really been like a learning curve. But yeah, we usually take turns with our stress days. So we talk
Yeah,
each other out of it.
you pencil it in. I think it's your turn this time.
It's my turn.
I mean, do you feel like being sisters and having your mom in the business, do you think it makes it easier or does it make it harder at times?
So I think it's a little bit of both. And so
Yeah.
my patrons, we are completely transparent.
Yeah.
If we have a hard time, we're telling you all about what's going on and somebody's in timeout. I think it makes it hard because mostly since I was the head of Woolen Women Fibers, the two girls took a back seat and I was the one giving them the deadlines, and I put us in for contracts for shows, and I was the one doing all of the promotional work, the social media marketing and things like that. And then all this stuff comes through my shop. So I would give them their orders, they would work on them, and then they'd have deadlines that I had to relay. So I sort of became like their boss in a way, but it becomes hard because you're family, right? So there's a fine line, and honestly, it can be absolutely wonderful because you're working with family and you can ultimately have a lot of fun with it. And then there are hard times. There's always hard times where everybody's done with it. They can't see each other's face anymore.
Yeah, we've been packaging for what is a million advents, and we're like, oh, done with it. But I mean, I feel like that comes with anything, you know. And when people ask, you know, oh, does it get stressful? Because everyone sees Instagram and it's all, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
so
it's all
happy.
so happy.
And it is incredibly happy. It's incredibly awesome. But also, like anything else, you stress sometimes, but you do that to make it successful. Any kind of success you have will come with that.
But ultimately, I've had a lot of jobs. I like working with you guys better than anybody else.
Right? That's fine. That's good.
Yeah.
Tell me about the packaging, because I saw so we're gonna talk about the kits that right now are in your store in a second, but like the creativity of packaging really what intrigued me. And
Oh yeah,
I would
Sami
say,
started that.
yeah, I started it because I was in psychology, and we already know that when you open something that feels like a gift, you are actually more likely to buy from that company again. And this is because, like, you remember that special feeling of when you open it. It's like, oh, wow. You know, so I started it with just tissue paper, very plain, like our cards are all hand stamped by my husband. I'd be like, stamp these cards. But it's the wax seals for me. I love the wax seals, and we always come out with something different. Pet or plant, you get your bouquet. You know what I mean? We want to make it you immersed in your package. Like, is it the sea? Is it like, these are our cottontails? Our new things are pearls, which are cottontails for Easter. And we just like to make the packaging as like encapsulated as possible. My favorite one to date is mermaids with bubbles, and that's probably been my favorite one, and it was the one that kind of like really popped off the whole wax seal envelopes. And then just adding, you know, the colors. We like to put really nice tissue paper in there to match, and we put like
confetti,
stickers, confetti,
biodegradable confettis. We just really feel like it should be an experience. Like, not only does your product have to be amazing, but when you open it, you need to feel it truly needs to be happy mail, a party mail in your mail, a party in your mailbox.
Exactly.
Well, let's talk about the make-along. So you just announced that you're gonna do a make-along, and it's a shawl make-along, and anybody can do any shawl, even though you have like few suggestions, right?
Yeah.
When you were putting these kits together, I mean, I find it difficult because, like, even though you gave a few suggestions, all the shawls are different, and like the yarn that you can use for it is different. How did you approach it? How did you tell me like the whole planning of the make along, basically?
So I usually do the planning for the make alongs. The girls usually suggest, but Samantha's not. She doesn't have too much time for knitting, so she's gonna try. But usually I do them. I usually approach it as if, so I feel like if I picked one shawl, for me, I always get a lot of people that don't want to do the same shawl or the same sweater. There's always somebody that really something else called to them, but they want to join the knit along and they can't because they're confined to the one choice. So I always try to do like 3 choices that sort of give a kit options so that if you're one of those people that has a really hard time choosing, it's right there in your face with the colors and you have an idea. But for others that really like to kind of let loose and they've had a shawl project maybe in Ravelry for a while and they really, really wanted to knit it and now's their chance, then they have that option and they can pick it up and knit along whether, whether they wanted to do these colors or somebody else's, because we let you stash bust as well.
Well, let's talk about it, because to me that was surprising, right? Like, being a yarn dyer, you would expect that if you're spending your time and your effort into putting together a make along, you want to sell your yarn, you want to sell your kits.
Yeah.
Why do you feel like it's okay to use your stash for this?
Times are hard. It's like money is tight. Everybody has a tight budget right now. And although I really want to make money and I could really use the money, I really like the community too. I think it's so important for a business to connect with the people that, like, when you're going to shop from somebody, you're going to go to somebody that you sort of have developed some kind of know-how about or a relationship with. And part of business is developing those relationships. And so, although we have some kits, I don't force people into buying just my products to participate just so I can make the money. Because for me, some people are going to purchase them. Maybe I'll do well and maybe I won't. But at the end of the day, the knit alongs for me are about all of us getting together and doing something fun. I know that sounds kind of cliche, but in the end, it's enough money for me and I don't need to gouge them to participate. You know what I mean? So like if they want a stash bust and they don't have, it's really expensive. A shawl could be 4 skeins, talking over $100. And if they don't have that, but they really, really want to participate, I'm all for it. Somebody else might have made you beautiful yarn that you've been dying to use and you're going to make the most beautiful shawl.
Like when you get support, it is not always in the way in the business where it's like, oh, support is just money. Support is definitely, it is a lot more than that. It is friendships, it is connections, and it is making that connection with your audience.
And we've always sort of been like that because
Yeah.
any kits that we did have that are yarn, charm, and bag, we've always had like a build your kit option. So if you couldn't buy a $200 kit, you can buy pieces of that kit or whatever fits your yarny needs or your budget needs for that matter. So like when we got into business, we were always kind of in that mindset just because I was in somebody's shoes once trying to buy yarn and it could be really rough. Sometimes enough money is just enough money and sometimes it's better to make the connections.
What do you think is the best thing that happened to you having this business?
Oh, I would say our closeness.
Yeah, so me and Samantha weren't always inseparable. We were sort of the twins. So honestly, I wanted to be inseparable because our faces were the same. Sammy did not. She wanted her own friend. She wanted her own face for like all of high school. And we moved away since I went to school and she went her way. So we've been separated for a really long time. And I think the fiber arts and just the whole business as a whole has really brought us together. We are truly inseparable now. I don't think there is a day that goes by that we don't sit on the phone. Sometimes we're just on the video chat, just watching TV or crafting, and we haven't said a word to each other in hours.
I'll be like, are you still there?
Yeah. So I think that is definitely the best part of it.
Sami, you mentioned your husband stamping those cards. What's his view on all that increasing amount of stuff happening on that desk of yours?
So he would like to see me get a break soon. We had a hard run of it the last 3 years. Once he lost a job that had provided for our family for about 12 years, he was lost trying to find another one. And while he's willing to help because this income, and I say this all the time, this income literally feeds my family. It's something that was a true blessing in the time. And he does some wax seal envelopes for me. He'll get real creative with it because he knows how important it is to build this. We started on the side of a road in a tent doing our stuff, and now we're here at home and we're making thousands of pieces, and he's stamping thousands of cards and thousands
Ultimately,
of envelopes.
I think both the men are in awe of just that you can think something up in your mind and then make it happen.
I would say he's been in awe of the sheer number of hours, and I always say this, I still enjoy it, our homeschooling and all. Everything has just taken a different shape around the business. So we went to an open and go curriculum. I used to piece together the curriculum because, you know, I went to college for education and small children and all, and I was like, well, I'll use it just in a different way, but I'll use it. And now I have an open and go curriculum that makes it easier because, you know, I can't piece everything together anymore and make all of those connections that I used to. But we really love what we have, and it's just grown to be something different. So my husband's just in awe, and after 13 years, we finally just got married in February, officially. We finally celebrated. It took 13 years. What?
We'll say though, that's the same kind of concept as working with family too.
Yeah.
There are hard days where the men are like, what about me? Because the business takes a very large role each day. And so you do have to conform your life around a lot of busy things, a lot of little things that have to be remembered. So I feel like that goes hand in hand there as well.
Andrea, do you have time to knit with all the dyeing you do and all the Instagram stuff and packaging and all that?
As you know, I tried to do a Stephen West make-along. Did not happen. I do find time to knit. I do. I always carve out some time, whether it's a couple rows or not. I do find some time. I will say the last 2 months kicked my butt, and I am just picking up needles once more. I think last week was the first time in a while. So sometimes I do have to take quite a break. But so far I have always tried to squeeze in time, and I do make quite a few things. I get surprised sometimes when I look around and I'm like, I don't remember all that knitting I did, but sometimes I do take a lot of time, and sometimes I don't have much time at all. So it just depends.
What do you guys give to each other for birthdays?
What did we?
Little themed boxes, and I like to do this thing where if I saw it and I missed you, I'm getting it. So if I see, like, I saw these, what are they called? Necco? Is that what they're called? The little discs that we used to eat as a kid that were like sugary.
Yeah.
I saw them and I was like, oh my gosh, that was Andrea when she was 5. I'm getting these.
Yeah, she packs like these little boxes. Can't even say little. There's like a lot of goodies in there.
Yeah, I put
and
like a
little gifts.
pan. Yeah, loaf pan in there.
I just used that.
Yeah,
I made her that sweater she's wearing, but I was late. I was like a couple weeks after our birthday, but I made her a sweater. Yeah, so it just depends.
If somebody's like considering getting into the business, what's your advice? Because you started at the hardest time. You started during COVID.
I know it's gonna sound cliche, but don't be afraid. So I think the biggest thing that people will, or self-doubt. So has anybody heard of imposter syndrome?
I have it every day.
I feel like I do that every day. You need to live by the rule, fake it till you make it, because that's what it's all about. I mean, you dream it up and it's going to be awful a lot of times when you don't get sales, or you think, oh my gosh, is that color not as pretty as I thought it was? Like it's not selling or something like that. But let them all go and just keep going. Even if you have to cry through it, just keep going, because there's going to be wonderful days ahead. And
yeah,
it can be more wonderful than you ever imagined, and it can be harder than you ever imagined. But I think that fear is what kind of keeps people from doing it. I know for me, coming out of a PhD, I was like, this is what I have to do. I worked so hard for this, but this is what's making me happy, and it's really working out right now. And I was letting like this self-doubt on how could I possibly build one more thing and it work out. And then especially when you get the PhD and you don't get the job that you really thought you were getting, because you come out with these huge high hopes, you worked so hard, you're finally a doctor. So I had that syndrome where I was like, I'm a total imposter. This is never gonna work out. So I feel like you just have to kind of bury that and keep going. I think just don't let fear stop you, really.
Well, let me ask you your dream. Like, where do you envision this going? What's in the ideal world with like everything going your way? Where would you like to be?
I would like to be in quite a few yarn shops. So we're in about 6 yarn shops in the US right now. My ideal would be to have our kits, because we make custom kits for yarn shops. There's one in Iowa called Fiberheart. We made her a custom coffee kit because she owns a coffee shop called Jams. And I love that custom idea where Woolen Women Fibers can bring those custom colors, charms, and bags to other people. I mean, it's one thing if it's the same, like I'll just sell colors, and that's wonderful. But I envision that later on, our kits will kind of become one of those staples where you can do those things and give them to yarn shops. So everywhere around can find these really amazing, because it would be like a one-of-a-kind kit in Iowa. You can't find that anywhere else now. So I think that really brings something special to the yarn industry. I can't say I want it to be so big that I have warehouses and such. I think once you get that big, the option for the custom things that we really enjoy making are going to go out. They're going to be not something that we can keep up with. So I can't imagine that I want it to get so huge where that would go away. I kind of want it to be in that in between, if that makes sense.
We were just discussing this, and we were discussing it in a capacity, like, because especially since there's just so many hours in the day, and I'm just like, I don't know how many subscription boxes I could fill if they're little people. A little person takes about an hour and 20 minutes with painting and everything that goes on, and the baking and all, and the glazing and the hardware and all the process. We were just saying, like, how would we do more? And we honestly think it's going to make its way to a wait list. And we think it's best. You always have people coming in and coming out, where we're doing a wait list because we want to keep the customization and not really fall off of that to mass produce something that's simpler.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, we just got to be intricate and difficult, don't we, Andrea?
We're weird.
Tell me about the fabrics for the bags. Who chooses it? Based on what? What catches your eye? How does that happen?
So I feel like lately, so my mom always did all the fabrics and the bags, and recently she took a hiatus. She's been sick for, like we said, it's been since we were in college. She got diagnosed. In the last few years, Woolen Women Fibers became extremely just busy. And it's something that she was just getting really worn down. So she took a break and I took it over. And so for me, usually we have a theme in mind already, or we've planned out like colors and charms. And I will go find the fabric, but I always have Samantha on video chat. But I will say sometimes it's reversed. So sometimes I'll be in the fabric store and I find something that's so cute, and we'll change a whole theme just based on fabric. So I think it just depends.
Yeah,
but we
it has to
definitely
inspire.
Yeah. She's just in Florida on video chat, but we both pick out the fabric.
Do you have a favorite kit that you've made so far?
Ooh, a favorite one. That's hard to choose. I think this Fairy Garden subscription box is my favorite. I'm knitting a sock. I don't know where it's at.
I think I like the equestrian one.
Ooh, I like that. I love those. Wait.
It had cowboy hats and all. I just love it. Yeah, so cute.
Yeah, that's cute. We did a whole Woolen Wild and Free collection, and you get to like pick out your horse and your trail. There's like different trails, and each one has a horse to match in a colorway, and trails that are colorways. We have like an Aspen trail ride and Poconos. That was a fun one as well. But I like the springtime ones. I like the garden, all the gardeny kind of colors, the softer tones. I like them, and the brights in summer. Oh, it's hard to choose. Brights and springtime are my favorite.
So I've read the email about all the point system that goes on into this make along.
Yeah.
And it like really sophisticated. Like there is so many different options for people to participate and get points. Can you
Yeah.
walk me through it?
So we try to make more points if you use our kit. So obviously we're not forcing you to, because you can stash bust if you'd like, but the point system is set up based on posts and reels using the hashtag, which is WWF Shawl MAL 2023. And so all you have to do is post or reels. You don't have to do both. If you're not like a reel kind of person and you don't like that, then you don't have to do that. Some people have a hard time making reels. But so if you're doing these posts and these reels and you use the hashtag, if they contain some of our items, you get a different sort of point system. So if it just has like one of Sam's Tiny Trinkets featured charms for one of our sets, you get like 5 points. If it has a charm and bag, you get 10. And if it has charm, bag, and yarn, you get, I think, 20. But the way it's designed is if somebody isn't using our kit, they can still catch up in points with finished objects, because you're going to get 10 for each of those if you're like a really fast knitter. And you can catch up with posts. So if you're an adamant poster, you can catch up that way. So you get more points if you use a featured kit. But we do make it so if you're stash busting, you can kind of keep up with the running there. So that was kind of my thought when I went along with it. And it's fun because we sometimes have themed knit-alongs. The last one we did was Elf on a Whip, and everybody had to show us their nitty naughty elf getting into all the naughty things that he did. So when they would post, they told a story. Like the one ladies was making a snow angel. Like they actually were posting about it, and you could see Samantha's trinket in there doing funny things. So sometimes it's fun to see the story unfold with that as well.
And you're also gonna do some Zoom meetings, right, for this make along?
Yeah, so we're gonna have a cast on one. I'm finalizing the date. Samantha has some things for Coda that week, so we're just an email blast. So if you get on our newsletter list, our email list on WoolenWomenFibers.com, we always send out like reminders. Of course, we always post them on Instagram as well, on our Instagram page. So we're gonna be announcing the cast on pretty soon, I think, maybe in the next week or two.
So tell me the dates of the make along.
So the dates are April 25th is going to be the official cast on date, and then it's going to run 1 month. It's going to be May 25th. And I think a month is a pretty good time for a shawl. I say that, and I'm going to be the one lagging behind. I should pick something I can do feasibly.
Have you been thinking about it? Have you been looking through like Ravelry pages to see what?
Yes. And I'm really, really wanting to do the pressed flowers. And I know it's going to take me a while, but I just really want to do it. But then I was thinking it's DK weight. Maybe it'll go faster and I'll be able to finish. But I just really, I've had it on my Ravelry favorites forever. And I just really, I was torn too. I really love the cardigan, but this is a shawl make along. So I got to reel myself in.
Do you wear what you make? I mean,
yes,
Sami wears what you make, but do you wear what you make?
I do. This is the Cloudsley by Isabella Kramer. This is in our Farm Fresh Eggs colorway. Although I had somebody help make this. This was Susan did this, but I wear a lot of my shawls. Shawls are probably my most worn thing that I actually use in my daily life. Mostly because I have like a puppy and it can be taken off. I don't have to get my nice clothes ripped up. But this was my favorite shawl. It's huge. I don't even know if I can.
I love that one, and the colorway is so pretty.
Yeah, this is the Veeder shawl. But I mostly wear shawls just around my neck with like a jean jacket or something. That's like my go-to. I did wear a shawl to a wedding recently, a beautiful shawl. So shawls are like my thing, and I think that's why that was kind of the inspiration behind the make along. I haven't had a shawl on the needles in so long. And if you live by the shore like we do, it gets really chilly at night. Like when the sun starts going down, you definitely can use like even a DK weight shawl would be really good.
Right. So how can people join and where they can find information about the make along?
So the main place is going to be Instagram. We'll have a big thing about casting on, and we'll have reminders. We're also going to post more ideas for what shawls you might want to do each week. We do a live event called Fiber Favorites Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Instagram. And from now till the knit along, we'll definitely have ideas for you to kind of pick your brain on what shawl you might want to do and colors and things like that. But the main place is definitely Instagram and definitely our email list. We always send out reminders and things. Even the day of, I'll be like, don't forget. So for anything knit along related, those are definitely the two places.
And I'm gonna put all the information about it in the description of this video. And so you guys can subscribe to that email list and go find these ladies on Instagram and follow them. And I'm joining it, and I have no idea what I'm gonna be knitting. I spent yesterday like an hour on Ravelry going through everything because I want to make something fadey kind of thing. But I went through like all the shawls on Ravelry and I still can't decide. I think I like narrowed it down to 5. So I'll keep
I'm making your set, so if you need anything changed, like let me know. In the next couple of days I can always change something, but I'm excited to make your set.
Well,
should we show them the featured set for the knit along?
Yeah,
yeah, show them that. And you were talking about packaging. This one has fun packaging. So we wanted to go with, like, we have a Fresh from the Coop set, which Sami is wearing. She's wearing it in a rocket tee, but we have this really cool shawl it's a wrap called the Moon Bumps wrap by Maxim Sear.
Yeah.
And so we made a kit with black as that main color. And then we have minis, and they come in this adorable little egg crate. And they're super bright. So they're going to be really fun for like a really nice bright garden feel. And Samantha matched them with these adorable little vegetables that she made. So this set's called Fresh from the Garden, and it kind of rivals that Fresh from the Coop that we had last year. I'm just going to show you the little egg.
I feel like if I separate them down here, it would be better. They are so tiny. These are probably the tiniest faces I've ever made.
I love the little vegetables. There's like 3 peas in there. They're so cute. She got them off of this fabric.
And they are, I'm going to try to spread them out.
You match that chicken like perfectly. There you go. Right?
So adorable.
And they've got these little faces. The peas are so cute.
Yeah, you did a great job. And this is a drawstring bag. So all your charms, your yarn, it all matches, which we love to do. Everything has to match. It's box bottom, so it's super roomy. But this
I love that bag.
Yeah, I'm excited. So and cute. We're on the farm, you're in the vegetable garden. Here's your little eggs. So all your little eggs come in there, aka your little yarn. So all your yarn minis come in there, and we give a little card. This kit was kind of based on, so there's citric acid dyed yarn, obviously, but you can sort of mimic brights with some ingredients in your kitchen if you're doing egg dyeing this season. So we made a little card to kind of tell you the ingredients and what your little eggs will look like.
And that's what we were like matching, was the little ingredients you can use. The carrots, the radishes, the peas, all the things you can use to like dye. Yeah. It's so cool.
And then this
I liked this set. This was fun.
This is my favorite. I like brights, so it's hard for me to, because the pressed petals, I was more going towards like the neutrals. I don't know, we'll see. But this is the pressed petals by Amy Christophers. So this is the one I think I'm gonna do, and the kits we did with this are all from our Woolen Willow Creek. So you're asking about inspiration. We have no idea how we came up with this. We just wanted to come up with a a magical town that would be amazing to knit in. So picture like a little cottage on the tree side. There's a line of forest and there's a creek that runs through. We just made up a whole yarny place.
We came up with a new product for this because I wanted it. It so reminded me of like little critters when I was little. And I was like, Andrea, we have to do this. And I came up with something called Trinket Towns. So this is what Woolen Creek is going to look like. And it's a small handmade little town with the vegetables and stuff in there that you can picture your bunny being in.
Yeah, so she made a little bunny family. She's gonna make a little fox family. There's all kinds of cute little critters that live in Willow Creek, and we did all kinds of colors from it. And those are the ones we're kind of featuring for the pressed petals. So I'm torn between This is dragonfly and blueberry flapjacks.
Oh,
And
those are cute. And our charms and our things always, as
so
you can
this is
see,
a
like
great
the
example.
colors.
Okay, Samantha never saw this
Yeah.
scene, but she made that dragonfly and it matched perfect.
Yeah, and it's all shimmery.
You really did. It's perfect. And then mallard, show them the duck. So this is another.
Yeah.
I think this is the one I'm ultimately gonna do. I like the
Mallard
neutral
is really nice. I
color.
love the mallard. It's
I just
it's
love
such a
that.
pretty colorway,
Super.
Andrea.
It's like a
I know
pop-up.
it's super hard to see miniatures on these cameras. I was trying to decide like which one was better.
Remember when
think
you made
ultimately
micros?
it's
Samantha
go-
one time
oh,
made them even
yeah.
smaller, if you can believe it. There you go.
Yeah.
I can
Ooh,
see them.
that's better, right?
Yeah.
That's our mallard duck.
So we just kind of did like this whole little town, and we came up with a spring collection called Willow Creek, and it's all about like, this is sourdough bread. Like if you picture in the little cottage, she's
Oh,
pulling
I
her
have
bread in
bread
the
on
window.
here. I
So
have
there's a
bread on
little-
my piece somewhere. Wait, I gotta search for it. Hold on. It's
She's
here
knitting
somewhere.
a blanket out of her.
There
I
it is.
sent her Patreon minis because she's one of my patrons and she knits blankets out of them.
I know, we're
You're
so
funny.
funny. I was
There's
like,
her
I
sourdough
did
bread.
it.
And then the last one, did you knit this one already, Irina? The eyelet burst? Have you done that?
No, I haven't done it yet. And actually, I was looking at it yesterday.
That's a good fade.
Yeah.
Is that one of your 5?
It's
Yeah, and we have 4, and I even put 5 skein on there, and I was talking about this on Wednesday. He makes this section, that first section is a little larger. If
Right.
you want like to add a 5th color in there, you could make the sections a little shorter in that first part of it and then do 5 colors. So we put 4 and 5 up. I think we have a Woolen Moon colors, which are like these brighter. I have them in another shawl. These are from a Woolen Moon collection if you want to go bright. Or if you want to go more neutral, we have the Woolen Wild and Free. So this has got those colors in it. So this is a big one too. This has more of those creams, tawny browns, some grays. So this would be a nice, so we have kits for, with these neutrals in it for, that would be perfect for the eyelet burst. I'm excited for your color palette too. That was a really good choice.
well, you also offered a discount to the viewers of my channel. So tell me
Yes.
that was so
Yes. So we want to give you 10% off store wide. The only thing it won't be good for is subscription boxes, but anything else, even Mother's Day boxes, all the other things, it's 10% off with the code Fiberchats. It's all one word and in caps lock. I think you said you'll put it up there. Okay, thanks. Yeah, so 10% off store wide. It just doesn't include subscription boxes. We have a woolen yarn box that's on there. But yeah, we're excited to give everybody a little discount. We thank you for watching.
And it's going to be good until April 15th. You said.
April 15th, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put all this information in the description of this video. So you guys check out the store, use your discount while you can, and please join me and Samantha and Andrea for this make-along. Thank you
so
much for being my guest today.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Thank you.